Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome back to part 4, I think it is, of today's reading. So we're looking at the revolts that have sprung up in the years following the Battle of Karbala, and we're reading currently about the revolt of Ibn al-Ashad, which, just to jog your memory, was a revolt that was started by Abdur Rahman ibn Muhammad ibn al-Ashad against Hajjaj and Abdul Malik ibn Marwan. And the reason was they were getting sick of expanding. They were starting to feel weary regarding the expansionistic conquests. Well, the whole nation was starting to feel weary of it. They did not want to continue spreading Islam by the sword, I guess. Okay, so Hajjaj was an Umayyad general known for his bloody brutality. He was known for setting siege to Mecca and attacking the city with catapults. So he had sent Abdur Rahman to Sajistan at the helm of an Iraqi army to expand Islam by the sword, obviously. By bloodshed, oppression, everything that the Umayyad rule does best. And Abdur Rahman, being a general of one of his armies, had been doing this, had been part of this, and he'd been very successful at doing this. However, he was growing weary of doing this. All the bloodthirst, all the killing, all the plundering, all the taking of land was making him start to think, I don't want to do this anymore. So he voiced these thoughts to Hajjaj, who of course wasn't happy. So then Abdur Rahman presented the issue to his generals, the generals of Hajjaj, who actually replied by saying, yes, I share the same sentiment as you, and I will join you. Whatever you do, I will be by your side. And he refused to continue to listen to Hajjaj. He said, we refuse the commands of that enemy of Allah, meaning Hajjaj. We will not listen to him or obey. So the army pledged its allegiance to Abdur Rahman, Hajjaj's army. They began their journey back to Iraq. By the time they reached, that back and forth between him and Hajjaj was by letter writing. So he'd written a letter to Hajjaj, Hajjaj had written a letter back, and they were going back and forth by writing each other. So of course Hajjaj wasn't pleased, and then he brought it up to one of the other generals of the army that was with him, Abdur Rahman, who then, they decided to stick together, and the general then pledged allegiance to Abdur Rahman and denounced his allegiance to Hajjaj. They began their journey back to Iraq. By the time they reached Persia, they had renounced any allegiance to the Umayyad Caliph and were determined to remove the tyrannical state. When they reached Basra, the entire city pledged its allegiance to Abdur Rahman. They were pleased to find someone willing to expel Hajjaj and his Levantine masters. They were so quick to join him because of the oppression that they faced. Hajjaj's overseers in the land had written to him complaining that the taxes that they had levied on non-Muslims have been depleted, as most of them had accepted Islam. Hajjaj at once ordered that the people of Basra and other cities be garrisoned at the barracks outside their cities. By this, Hajjaj hoped to prevent insurrection. However, his actions had impaired the economy of these cities and created further dissent. Therefore, Abdur Rahman had found a society that was very willing to shed Hajjaj's yoke and revolt against Umayyad rule. This revolution lasted for 2 years and achieved a number of military victories. However, it was finally quelled by Hajjaj and his Levantine armies. It was an Arab revolt, unsupported by the non-Arabs. In fact, it was a revolt by the Arabs of Iraq, whose economic situation had become unbearable. It was a revolt by the Iraqis, who were used as soldiers in the various conquests, but were not allowed in the share of the spoils. They had to make do with salaries that could not feed their families, while the spoils went to the Levantine armies that were garrisoned in Iraq to quell all rebellion. Another revolution that sparked in the years after Karbala, quite a number of years after actually, was the Zaydi revolt. The Zaydi revolt began in the year 121 al-Hijrah. Zayd ibn Ali ibn al-Hussain, who was the grandson of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, and the brother of the fifth Imam, Imam Muhammad al-Baqir. So he was preparing to revolt. The revolution was stemmed at its outset by the Umayyad army garrisoned in Iraq. The slogan of the Zaydi revolt was targeted at the people of Kufa. O Kufans, come from your humiliation towards honor. Come towards victory in this world and the next. It seems that Zayd's revolt was able to garner a great deal of support throughout Muslim lands. These lands include Kufa, Basra, Wasit, Mosul, Hussain, Ray, and Gorgan. Gorgan is a city in modern-day Iran, close to the Caspian Sea and the border of Turkmenistan. The revolt seemed poised to gain quick victory. However, the pace of events forced Zayd to declare his revolt before the time agreed upon with his allies throughout the lands. It was because of this revolt that the constant body of revolutionaries was born. The Zaydi sect, which believed it to be a religious obligation to follow any leader that revolted against tyranny, was from then on ready to join any revolution against an oppressive state. Zayd's revolt was only a ripple of his grandfather's revolution in Karbala. Zayd ibn Ali ibn al-Hussain, the grandson of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, grew up in the arms of his father, who never ceased to recite the tales of the tragedy of Karbala. As the great-grandson of Imam Ali and Lady Fatima alayhim salam, and a direct descendant of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, I was having difficulty with that word the last few days. Zayd grew up with the values of his forefathers. A noble and pious man, he would become the 5th Imam for Zaydi Shia, not for 12er Shia. He's not one of our Imams. He's not our 5th Imam. His brother was our 5th Imam.